Segment 2, Chris Hartley won the invisible coin toss. Brian Newbert is constantly working and putting together things for you on our website. And so is Chris. I mean, we appreciate it. I had the privilege last night. We had a little dinner and a great conversation. Eric Props and Dean Kozier. That would have been suitable for a webcast as well. We had good content last
100%.
night. Yeah.
The Dean is quite the character.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's a good guy. We had fun, and both of us have been lucky to have Eric in our lives in one form or another for quite a long time. But Chris, we need to get a little bit caught up at where you are, what you're doing, why you're here, which is an interesting story that we'll talk a little bit about. But out in living in Manhattan Beach, which the weather is just a shade better than it is here. But tell us, and working at Digital Ink, but tell us a little bit about what's keeping you busy on a daily basis.
Yeah, I have kids now. I have a third on the way in April, so that's exciting. We can live in Manhattan Beach. I've been really just heavily involved in advertising for the most part. That's just as general as it gets. It's a really interesting time, obviously, with the Facebooks of the world. I grew up with it, and then I was also doing stuff with it in advertising in the communities I've built. So it's been fun. It's a great place to be, advertising in general. I'm not creating ads. I tell everyone I'm the tech infrastructure behind it most of the time. But it's across travel and all these other environments, so it's good. I spoke at Cranor today, like I mentioned. I'm here to speak on behalf of the graduate program and the undergraduate program. But to dial it back in, I made a commitment. As I do every year, I look at myself and say, like, what are some things that I can be working on or getting better at, just like they're called goals, and people should be making them, right?
Right.
Mine was very simple, not have it be when I'm 56 years old and then decide that I need to start getting back involved. So I'm 36 years old. I woke up with this vision that I wanted to get highly involved back in not only the sports program, but the business school and Cranor and just Purdue in general. So.
And you talked about the fact that there's quite a network of Purdue people in Manhattan Beach, and you were talking about that offline. That it's like the little Big Ten out there in terms of people that you run into.
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, I always look for opportunity, no matter what it is. If it's to gain an edge and winning a drill back in the day or the mile run, that's really important to me. And to be honest, the opportunity to grow the relationships with other Purdue folks and also those kids that are looking at Purdue is absolutely there and available on the West Coast. And especially in LA, there's so many people that I'm finding out live down the street from me and whatnot. And I'm like, I don't know them. Not that I want to do business with them per se, but like the fact that we're not a community and watching games and that kind of stuff, it's kind of messed up, right? So we're going to put some plans together to fix that and bring sports and school together out on the West Coast as best as we can.
Yeah, and you have a natural, because there's so many transplants out there, you've got kind of a natural audience from that standpoint, and that makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. So what was your message today when your elevator speech, so to speak, to the students? And you taught with the undergrads today or grad students?
This was undergrads with a mix of some graduates that could be from the public, if you will.
What's the message? What do kids have to know today from your experience?
I took it as just, look, I'm going to throw up and tell you what I've been doing since 2006, 2007. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I've had this many jobs. I'm getting involved in this much stuff. I got all this stuff going on. And the point is to kind of just, a couple of things. Just throw so much at you so that you feel uncomfortable, because that's what life is. Right? Number one. Number two, the working world is much different. I haven't had a job more than 3 years. I haven't been at one company for more than 3 years, right? I think a lot of those things when you come into like ad tech and a lot of the business world, there's some changes as far as like working remote and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, like things like relationships and just being in person, those still exist. So, I have a pretty big personality, of course. I take every opportunity to talk to every single person, period. I don't care if it's at Harry's or the school or whatever. And I think that most of what I see as a gap in people in the working world is the fact that they're not able to relate to a 10-year-old or a 100-year-old, right? And so I think the faster you can be relatable to anyone and everyone, have a conversation and care, and that's the differentiator.
an industrial management major and had industrial engineering minor, is
Yeah,
that right?
exactly,
And I
yeah.
mean, it had a very stringent academic preparation. What did that, how did that serve you well? And now what skills out of that is it you're an excellent communicator? Is that still the best thing that you do, or do you put all that stuff together?
No, because I got the, if I have to sell something, my best thing is that I financially and technically everything vetted it all out.
Yeah.
So once you think that I'm selling you something great or whatever, I want to build this business, sir, for you, Panasonic, like
Yeah.
I did. Oh, Chris, sounds like a great idea, big idea. Everyone's talked about it for 10 years, but no one ever did it. Well, let's dig in. I can show you this deep dive. I can
Yeah.
show you financially where it's at. So, having the data and the proof is what it stands out, right?
Yeah.
The degree itself, just wanted to go a little bit higher than management,
But hard,
industrial
yeah,
management.
yeah,
So that was a fun first year.
So you
with
had the weed out classes in physics?
physics, chem, and the advanced calculus. So that was cool. That's just technical stuff again, and engineering was technical. And, I was a SIGEP, played basketball. I got in the schools. I was involved in engineering and business. I was just trying to network with everyone, right?
It comes naturally. Now, Chris Hartley, the player, is a very rare club. In fact, we did this last year.
What is this stat?
No, it's a good thing because Grady Eifert, last year, we had to look up guys that came to Purdue and actually started, which you did over 20 times in your career.
Yeah.
Not many guys. Jim Rowinski, Chris Hartley, Grady Eifert, and there are a couple others that have started a handful of games.
Huh.
But talk about that, your matriculation from Noblesville and how you got to Purdue and what.
Yeah.
Because you had other options. You could have played other
Sure,
places.
yeah. Well, I had a great high school coach, Dave McCullough.
Yeah.
He's now at Shenandoah. I think they almost won, or they did win a state championship.
Yeah,
so
they
he
did.
finally got it. Oh, so
Yeah,
he did finally get it.
so.
But he was at Noblesville. I was not there with Coverdale. Coverdale was a senior when I was an eighth grader. But I was going to high school practices at 7th and 8th grade trying to play with the high school team.
Yeah.
So I was always involved. McCullough started me from day one, which is rare. I was in a sectional with Pike and North Central. Class basketball started when I was there.
Yeah.
I never got out of my sectional, as
Yeah.
I mentioned to you last night. I had Jason Gardner, David Teague, and Chris Thomas, and 3 of the 4 years there were state champions coming out of my sectional. We'd beat one that was ranked in the top 5 and have to play the other one the next night.
Yeah.
Just didn't have enough. But McCullough was a tough coach, and he was awesome to me. So my transition to Katy just made perfect sense.
Yeah.
And he's more than incredible.
Yeah.
It was a fine transition. I had to prove myself, as I always do. I'm limited, so I got to do more. And part of that DNA is, look, I never missed a practice in my entire life, ever.
No injuries?
Other than
Yeah.
my 5th year in March, in February, where I had to sit out 5 days. This is the first time I missed a practice game, etc. So I had that attitude and worked for it all, and it just worked itself out into starting role. As we all know, people drop off.
Attrition is a
they
part
have
of
their
it.
tough weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm always looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We got Gordon. If you can roll some of the pictures, because I did pull. These are all flattering to you. You're in the correct most of the time. I don't know if you could. And that is not Chris Kramer. That's Chris
not
Hartley.
Chris Kramer, correct.
Chris Hartley wore number 3, but you had to give up. Did you? Tell me the story of giving up number 3 and you had to wear 31.
I didn't know you knew that was a story.
Is that a story?
It is a story.
All right, tell us
So
the story, because this is the
It's
best part
really
of the show.
straightforward.
Okay.
Chris, it's really important that I leave this in good hands. Now, I'm not the scoring 30 points a game, but I came back for my 5th year. I had a full-time job to move to Chicago, and I sat down with Painter, and I decided to come back captain again, yada, 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 and be there to pass along to Keaton, to Chris, and then obviously the class that we brought in with Hummel, et cetera. Okay?
Yeah.
So it was straightforward. Hey, Chris, you're an awesome guy. You're a baller. You want 3? It was
you
that
gave it
easy.
up.
I just gave it up.
That's
and
good.
then he didn't even ask. And we were like brothers, man. And so that was that. And then from a 31 perspective, I just switched over just because Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
That was it. So now I will tell you a stat that no one knows
Okay,
about. You ready for this?
Yeah. Is it true?
It's true.
All right.
100%.
Okay.
I am the only athlete, so all sports,
Yeah, okay.
in NCAA history who's had 3 numbers,
Because you had
30, 3, and 31.
okay, because in the media guide they have you listed as 30 and 31, and they don't have you listed as 3, which they should. So,
That's
so you wore 30. Which year?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Maybe the first 2.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. And then 2 for
No,
3.
you wore 31 in your last year. In 3, this
And
is the
31 in my last year.
picture of Matt Painter having a little discussion with you.
Wow, he looks young.
Yeah.
Both of us.
Yeah. He does.
He does. Yeah.
And now there's your defensive pressure.
There's Gary Ware in the background. We were talking about him yesterday.
Yeah, and so you could play a little defense like Chris Kramer did.
Of course. Yeah. I told, of course I could play defense like Chris Kramer.
Another pose there.
So one of the things I told Shannon Brown after the Big Ten tournament, I had the responsibility to guard him. I was not only starting, I was playing like 35 minutes a game, right? And I was guarding typically the best person without Kramer, and this is not Kramer years.
Yeah,
right?
before he
got so Shannon Brown was like
from Michigan State.
Yeah, I shut him down for like literally 5 points.
Yeah.
Right. And we were going through the line. I just said, "Hey man, if you ever need an agent, I'm here." You know, kind of thing. Now
you got to work it.
Yeah. So it was fun. He was like 2 of like 29 shooting, and I just look. Painter got me so ready for the games. Like he has a mind, I have a similar mind. Where like I just knew what they were running every second, and I just followed the person around, knew where he was going, got to his spots, and eliminated that option.
What was it? Now your early years playing that last year of transition with Gene Katie and transitioning to Matt Painter. I mean, they're proteges, I guess would be the right term, but they're different guys. So what was that? Compare and contrast what that was like. And Gene obviously was in his last year, and there were some things that were involved with that as well.
Yeah, all positive. I mean, Painter was recruiting at the time too, so he was focused on like filling 8 or 9 scholarships or something crazy at that time, right? We had some seniors that were gone. We just had, kind of like, it wasn't clean. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. Right. But the message was Painter was going to be a great coach. Yeah. So there was no doubt about that. But I mean, overall, great process. I mean, you had such structure too. Let's be honest. Konzo Martin was still there.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about that last night. What a great guy he is.
The most incredible. Yeah. Right. I mean, so you have a collection of just great people, and it really didn't feel different.
Yeah. When you look at the situation too, and having the chance to, I mean, because in Matt Painter's first year, you lose Carl Landry and David Teague.
Yeah.
The Landry we talked about played the first few games and then opted out for the rest of the season due to that knee, but you had to pull it in and play some basketball. I mean, it had to be a little bit of a challenge, just knowing that your 2 big stars were out.
I mean, we had Crump, Watt, Manoy, Spates all out. I mean, there was more than just a few names, right? And so, weirdly, we were just so competitive in all these games, though. It's just kind of like, if you don't have that go-to player like a Carl or someone, it does make it challenging, and you're like, every time down the court, it's like, okay, who's going to shoot this time? It's not really clear. Yeah. I didn't essentially have the green light either. So when I was open, I know everyone wanted me to shoot it and was yelling at me to shoot, but it wasn't like that. Yeah. I didn't have that green light. It didn't give me the most confidence either, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter. I was playing basketball for a university I love. It was so fun. Yeah. Very different today, right? Dietitians and working out is much different and stuff, but it was part of it,
You have that chance, and there's that patented jumper. There was did that one go in? You think?
I don't know. Is that Michigan State?
I don't know. I can't.
I saw a couple of Michigan State pictures. So Michigan State, I had, I think, 11 points.
They're standing there, so I think that the paint crew or whatever they thought it was going.
I had 11 points that game.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I remember I had, I think, 10 or 11 points in the Minnesota game. I don't know if you remember that. That was Katie's last game.
Yeah. I do remember that game.
Well,
and a game that you guys had. Was it heartbreaking at the end?
So
you were ahead, as I recall, and I remember Brandon McKnight or something happened at the end. It was tough.
Both Brandon and I. So what happened was, the starters. It was me, McKnight, Teague, Landry, and Kiefer, maybe something like that. I don't know what it was. We were up literally like 20-something points. Like blowing them out. Yeah. Okay, and then the decision was made that since it was senior night too, we're going to switch the roster up at the second half. So we put the starters on the bench. Coach Katie.
Yeah.
And
Even though this is his last game at home, yeah.
I'm not joking you.
Yeah.
This lead went real fast,
Yeah.
surprisingly. And we had been sitting, I need to like run on a treadmill for hours to get loose, okay? Even at that age.
Yeah.
So I had been sitting over there first 10 minutes of the second half, so 10 minutes left. We're like only up 3.
Yeah.
Guys, get in. Kiefer, Hartley, gosh, dang, get in.
Yeah.
So we're going to resolve the game. We're going back and forth. I'm hitting threes out of nowhere. I'm not putting it, and then it comes down. McKnight brings the ball down. I'm wide open in the corner.
Yeah.
I think we're down 2
Yeah, I
or
think
something like
that's
that. I have a wide open look. I'm on fire. Shoot it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be a legend forever. Right? It felt so good. I was playing. The ball went right over the rim. And then the rebound happened. We fouled, and then they missed a free throw. McKnight had a chance to tie it, pull up around the free throw line, and then he missed it. But there's never negative experiences, right? It was all part of a story, and it's all good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
And Brandon McKnight, a great guy too.
Unbelievable guy.
And about as fast as you could get.
Yeah.
I remember him being here. He was always good to us here at Golden Black as well. All right, now you have watched practice. You went to practice yesterday, right? And you had some comments about what you saw. You didn't feel like this is a team that was just a couple games over 500 with Matt's team this year.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. They look like a legitimate basketball team,
Yeah.
top 25 team.
Yeah.
They have the experience to do it. They got a lot of players back. Just a few jump shots away, if you will. They got the defense. I mean, I just hope we can get in because I think we can make another big push.
Yeah.
And I know, obviously, Coach Painter's clearly X's and O's and
Yeah.
can definitely make some magic happen. So it's there. I saw some of the freshmen, too, that redshirted. God, they look incredible. So them packed with the current team that's back next year and the incoming folks.
You were impressed with Brandon Newman and
I was.
Gillis as well.
Yeah, I mean, just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really proud of them.
All right, now you also, even though never got to, you were involved when Rob Hummel and Etwan Moore and Jawan Johnson and Scott Martin were all recruited, didn't
Yeah.
get to play with them. You played with them on pickup stuff. But
Yeah.
you have a little relationship with Rob occasionally when he comes out west, and you play a little golf with him. You're a very good golfer.
That's
I know
right.
that, but tell us about that.
Yeah, so we had a year with those guys before they
Yeah.
came to Purdue.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out a way to work with the IHSAA
To get 'em- make 'em eligible?
eliminate their senior season and
Yeah.
let's just play now kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? Carl needed some backup support, so we loved Joan. Etwan and Robbie were obviously that. So, but they were awesome. Robbie and I have connected recently in the past year, I'd say. He comes to Los Angeles a lot for work.
Yeah.
I went to his 3-on-3 FIBA tournament.
Yeah.
They won the one in
Yeah.
LA that I took one of my sons to. Just like such an amazing sport.
Yeah.
Had done no research or watched
Yeah.
any film before I went to that. A very high-paced, intense, short, to the point. And I thought it was just fascinating. And then I do take him golfing just to get him out on the course because he's got some game. And
Do you take his money?
no, he's real tight with that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But no, and you evaluate his. We had a really lengthy discussion last night about the difference between how good Rob Hummel is and the opportunity to play at this level. What comes out when you watch him play 3-on-3, and why is he an extra skilled guy in that type of game? Do you think just because he's skilled?
No, I mean he definitely loves it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. He's doing something for that sport as the leader of
Yeah.
it. I mean, he's like the player of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
It's like, how did we miss all this?
Yeah.
So clearly
He was the
likes
FIBA
it.
Man of the Year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm impressed by that. He's at a similar point, even though he's a little younger than I am. But just understanding that, if we get a couple of young girls and guys together who played sports, who went to Cranor, kind of like me, if we can make a difference sooner than later, that's where I've kind of positioned a lot of my conversations with him because clearly he could make an impact.
Yeah.
He made Mackey Arena go crazy just at a Hall of Fame induction,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I get the importance of him, and he needs to do something with that. And I challenge him to do something with that, just like I'm challenging myself, because, I don't want people knowing about Purdue University just because Carson Edwards is crazy in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Right? The association between great athletes, great sporting programs, great curriculum, the potential free tuition, the top 5 public school, the this, to that. Like, there's a body of work that really needs messaged out to everywhere globally.
Yeah.
No pun intended with
Yeah,
Purdue Global.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
but that's kind of the messaging that I'm after.
Yeah, and I think that it is a message that if all of us that are kind of look at it every day, I think the message is improving. I think they've made some strides, but Purdue's trying to puff its chest out a little bit more from
Totally.
the national land. But from your perspective, still work to be done.
I've worked with companies before, like Panasonic, when I built an ad business from scratch inside it. They didn't know advertising, and they're very conservative.
Yeah.
And I understand that marketing, you can go one of different ways, conservative or not, right? Really aggressive and hyper-targeted and hyper-message and do kinds of stuff. So it's all good, and I think they're, with the new CMO that they've hired, and some focus on connecting the dots and with alumni and with current students and with new prospects, that's marketing, right? They have an opportunity to do a lot more, right?
Yeah. Now, so if you were invited down to the locker room, now unfortunately you're going to leave before tomorrow's game. You've got to get back to LA.
Right.
You got a family and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
you got to get to. But if you were going to make the pregame speech for tomorrow, Purdue needs a win and needs maybe another win after that to make the NCAA tournament. What do you tell those guys tomorrow?
We've been in this situation a few times. When we made the tournament, we were always 8 or 9 seed.
Yeah.
We always won the first game, then always played the top team,
Yeah.
and we should have beat Florida.
Yeah.
We were up 9 with 7 minutes left and lost by 15 almost.
Yeah.
Whatever it was,
Yeah.
but the pros kicked in.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
to call it. And Carl was
that
against
Noah guy. And
yeah. But we were in that position, and honestly, they shouldn't need to be told anything.
Yeah.
They're professionals. They're mature. They've been there before. They should be confident. I don't need to tell Noah Gel or Matt or any of those guys, not Painter, but Matt Harts, hey, go out there, buddy. You need to win this to make the tournament.
Yeah.
They're smart enough.
Yeah,
they know that they've had some ups and downs. No one wants to talk about it. Just go out there and win, and let's move on to the tournament.
Yeah. Your senior year, you had to beat Iowa to get in the tournament.
That's right. Wow.
And then you lose to Ohio State, the Big Ten
for the
tournament.
third time.
Really good team.
We lost 3 games to Ohio State that year, and it was total 4 points.
Yeah. And
we were the only team that took them to the limit.
Yeah.
We were the only team that took Florida to the limit in that tournament.
Did you get to go head to head with Michael Conley at all? Or did you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He was kind of good.
Him and Greg Oden. He was great. Yeah. It's really good. D. Brown, I told you,
Yeah.
Darren Williams, Shannon Brown, all those guys. So, and then I got to see in my redshirt year, I just got to be around Willie Dean and Kenny Lowe.
Willie Dean was as fast as it could get, too. He and Brandon McKnight were unbelievable fast in the backcourt.
Totally. So it was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are thankful that you took the time to come visit us.
Sure.
And your words of wisdom are always well taken. Your stories are awesome. And most of the ones that we told last night could be read. I still like. Well, you'll have to just ping Chris. He'll tell you the Michael Jordan story. It was still one of my favorites from last night. Not totally been able to tell here, but it was an excellent. It was a story about. All right, I'm not going to tease him. Give us the Cliff Notes version of that, because it was an important note of being able to. You had a guest in Michael Jordan. It was trying to arrange an event for him in Chicago. Take it from there in terms of what the message to me was. You got to be prepared, and sometimes you got to take a chance and get the job done.
Yeah, so we all know Chicago summers are a very short. They have a short window. So there's only a couple months, and then even on those nights, there's thunderstorms and whatnot. So fortunately, it was the perfect night in Chicago. It was July 6th, I believe, on a Saturday night, and Michael Jordan had contacted me in Chicago and said, hey, you're like a mover and shaker in Chicago. His current wife, now they have twins, they're 6 years old. His current wife was a girlfriend at the time, and he had wanted to take her and some of her friends out into Chicago, and he asked me where the place to be was and if I could help him coordinate it.
Yeah.
And he got my number through some other people. So I said, sure. You really Michael Jordan, right? Okay, cool. So I ended up going. I at this 5:30 at night.
Yeah.
And he wanted it by 10:30.
Yeah.
And
That's 5 hours, Chris. You had time.
And the place that I went to was a rooftop restaurant, lounge, etc., where they had pre-reservations for a year out, requiring this space for 2 hours for a 5K minimum.
Yeah.
So he wanted 6 hours.
Yeah.
He wanted 10 to like 3 or whatever. And so I went to the venue, convinced them that Michael Jordan just called me that I need to lock this down. They canceled the reservations. I brought Michael Jordan. I hung out with him for 5 hours. I don't remember any of it. I didn't have a single ounce of alcohol.
Yeah.
I just literally don't remember it because I had goosebumps the entire time.
Yeah.
Right? And, anytime you get to spend time with someone that's great at something, that's always an honor. This just so happened to be MJ.
Yeah.
And I had 5 hours with arguably the greatest athlete of all time.
But the message was you had to make it happen.
Had to make it happen.
Yeah, you just said
Oh, yeah.
you
And
had to get your contacts, and we got to make this happen.
And I had no contacts at that place. I picked a place that I hardly been to. I just knew it had a great table and a great setting overlooking the city. I was super confident. I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. I got you all day. And I really didn't have it up until game time. And he showed up an hour late. The management team was all flipping out. They were like, where's Michael? I'm like, think I know where Michael Jordan is?
Yeah.
Let's just wait for the guy to show up.
And he did.
And when he walked in, I told the kids at Credit today, just part of the side stuff, this Learn Life. I said, when he walked in, I think, and from outer space, there's a particular light beam that they have up there. Someone put it up there, and it's meant for when Michael Jordan walks into place because it was on him, and literally everyone's mouth was dropped.
Yeah, and it got done.
Yeah, and it got done.
And it got done. All right, Chris, thanks so much again. And we'll bring in Brian Newbert, and we'll talk a little Purdue Rutgers and get that broken down. He's busy putting together his stuff for tomorrow's big game against the Scarlet Knights. We'll take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back on Gold and Black Live.
Let State Farm agent Trent Johnson handle all the moving parts to your insurance. Whether it's for auto, home, life, or financial services, Trent Johnson is there with more ways to help, more ways to save. Call or visit Trent today. Like a good